Well, welcome to New Hampshire. I'm Chris Wood, the President and CEO of TU. I'll note that my predecessor, who is still with TU, is not here to see my inaugural State of TU address. Perhaps he wanted to save me from that embarrassment. But it's great to see all of you. The annual meeting is, without question, my favorite meeting of the year at Trout Unlimited because I get to see all the good folks from the organization. Before I get started on the formal presentation, I just want to call attention to a couple of people. Those of us who attend these meetings, everything seems so well ordered and regulated, but there's a tremendous amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to pull this together. I want to recognize Burr, Tupper, and the New Hampshire Council, as well as the adjacent councils, who really helped out in pulling this together. And it's a gift not only to have them provide that service, but for us to be able to share in the beauty of this state and to enjoy it. This is a very soft plug for other councils to submit your nominations for next year's and the following year's annual meetings. Yesterday, Jim McCartney and Joe Norton did a great job, TU staffers, in leading our conservation tours. Reports are that folks thought they were among the best we've ever done, so thanks to Jim and Joe for that. And finally, I would be terribly remiss and probably in big trouble if I didn't thank Nancy Bradley and the volunteer operations staff for all the work that they put into this, for pulling it together. So as is keeping with Trout Unlimited, we're going to walk through a forced march of a PowerPoint presentation here, but I'm going to try to keep moving fairly quickly through the slides. And I promise you there will be, I think, only 2 slides in the entire presentation that have text, so I will spare you reading what's on my PowerPoint presentation. And I don't really want to spend too much time talking about the mission of Trout Unlimited, although it's so vital. I think it's well known to everyone in this organization because it's remained unchanged now for decades. Our vision statement, which we developed a few years ago, is worth spending a little bit of time on. This idea that within 30 years we'll recover robust populations of wild and native fish so that our children can fish for them in their home waters lends a sense of urgency to the work that we're all about. That vision requires that we put a greater emphasis than ever before on working in partnership and collaboration with others. It requires also that we operate our conservation work at broader scales than ever before. This idea that we'll strive to protect the highest quality habitats that are often found in headwaters that supply the coldest, cleanest water, and then reconnect those down to lower elevation areas through restoration. That notion of protecting, reconnecting, and restoring landscapes and reknitting watersheds together well describes the biological imperative of the TU mission. But the fact is that most of the significant environmental challenges facing cold-water fish conservation are social in nature, not scientific or technical. Aldo Leopold once described the greatest challenge in human history as living on a piece of land without spoiling it. Leopold understood that conservation isn't about land and water, and it's certainly not about fish and fishing. It's about people. It's about people working together to protect and restore the lands and the waters that sustain us all. TU, taking that concept to TU, we're most effective as an organization when we marry the passion and the local knowledge at the grassroots level with the skill and the tremendous expertise of our national staff. That is what we mean by one TU. And I'm going to ask Pat if I can borrow his lid for a minute. Brian Moore was supposed to find me one of these, but he was eating breakfast.
I put it back in my room.
This is a hat that the Michigan Council came up with the 1 over the Casper the Friendly Fish logo of TU. I will note that this is a logo violation, but it's a very cool effort by the Michigan Council nonetheless. So the bottom line is that if we agree and accept this landscape scale model, and I don't know anyone inside of TU who's ever had any problem with this, that there really shouldn't be a distinction between the priorities of the organization from the chapter level to the state council level to the national level. So given the importance of working with people, what I'd like to do is to talk about the last goal of the strategic plan first. Building conservation capacity at all levels of the organization is an enormous priority for us. And the good news is that, as this bar chart shows, our membership is relatively stable and growing. And in fact, this past year, due to the fantastic work of Lori Held and her staff, we actually saw about a 4,000 member increase. And we need to accelerate that trend and keep growing as an organization so that TU becomes the kind of organization that fly fishers and others across the country want to be associated with. Now, as every chapter president and project manager knows, one of the most important elements of building capacity to accomplish conservation projects on the ground is money. And we are very lucky at Trout Unlimited, and I say this, I'm going to heap a lot of praise on people today, but none deserve it more than Hillary Coley. Hillary works with a bunch of do-gooders like all of us and runs the numbers to make sure that we're complying with the laws and regulations, and she's been a tremendous asset to the organization. I'm going to ask Hillary to come up and to walk us through the financials.